Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers tape breakdown and analysis. Want to go through a recap and review of the preseason. Know that there's not obviously as much intense game planning on either side, offense or defense, but with Arthur Smith, 3 games in the books as OC, getting ready for the regular season when everything counts, obviously. Want to just kind of take stock and inventory of my favorite play calls, favorite looks that he showed this summer that hopefully will carry over into the fall. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com, would really appreciate that. This is from the Texans game. I'm just going to go chronologically here. We covered this in a video to an extent already, and I'm going to try to go through these plays as quickly as possible because once the season starts, we can really dive into outcomes and results and impact all the more. So I'll try to go through them quickly, although for me that still probably will result in a half-hour video. So 3x1 formation in boundary, FIB, fib, you can call it. You don't see that as often. Typically the strength of the formation is going to be to the open side, to the field side, in this case the left side. Here though, 3x1 bunch to the boundary, to the close side, and they're going to run concept out of that, get those free releases, hit the out route to Van Jefferson, a little behind. That was a catch. They rolled it incomplete. Backside X here. Kevin Austin running this little pivot route against man coverage. A guy like him can create space. Just like the concept here, give the defense a different look, force them to defend the strength to the boundary, this bunch formation, create these free releases, force the defense to be able to distribute and pick it all up. Backside, a man beater. It's a good concept all around. Mentioned this one already, so we'll spend just a second on it. This was in my previous video, but 4th and goal, slant flat combination, creating this rub here on the goal line. The Texans, they don't banjo, they don't pass it off well. Wide open, Calvin Austin. Unfortunately, Kyle Allen's pass, a little out in front. Austin unable to make the catch, but you want to find ways to win, how to scheme guys open when real estate is tight. Down here on the 2-yard line, Smith gets it open, players could not finish, but still a really good concept. I've talked a lot about how Smith has used stacks and bunches to create free releases in the preseason and in training camp against Houston. The stack here to the top to create the free release and then just flooding the zone, essentially. You're going to get this vertical clear out route by Quez Watkins to the post, and then Calvin Austin on the corner to the sideline. It's going to clear out the corner. Watkins does a nicely run route here to kind of nod outside and then get vertical. Not even really as much a post, but just kind of down the numbers essentially. And then Austin behind. Good ball. It's a big gain to Calvin Austin. Simple stuff like that. Flood the zone. Get Austin open. Quarterback makes an easy read overall, and it's a big-time play. Similar to that 4th and goal play we just looked at, the incompletion to Calvin Austin, just give your quarterback and your offense options on the goal line, down in tight, where again, it's really hard to create space. Vertically, you can't threaten. Just an RPO, very simple RPO, handoff here, let Michael P. Ryan score, simple enough, but you're getting Connor Hayward here in the flat. That would have been open if Allen saw that and wanted to throw here pre-snap. And again, getting that rub, that pick, kind of creating leverage, working to the flat. You get a step in the flat down here, you're going to score. Defense does not have time to recover and be able to respond. They tackle the catch. Still going to be a touchdown. So just give your offense some options here. Simple, RPO overall. Smith is going to utilize that heavily. We'll talk about that throughout more of this video. But RPO, you want to run it, you want to throw it, both open, both touchdowns. Jumping to the second game, the Buffalo Bills outing, as miserable as it was for the offense in general. Still some play calls I like, working out of empty here. Russell Wilson, the old Hoss-Y juke, which was a staple play of New England when they had, Gronk and Welker and Edelman. And essentially the concept is you get George Pickens, number 3, inside. This is where, Welker, Edelman would align, get them on a linebacker. It's a matchup there for the taking. Wilson should have hit it. He did not. You see George Pickens, little not frustrated, but not upset, but wanting the ball here on the matchup. But the concept is you're going to run outside stop routes, short 5-yard curls. Number 2s run down the seam. They're going to run vertically, and then this option route over the middle by number 3. That is Hoss-Y juke. Pickens the Y on the juke concept here, being able to attack leverage and getting the right matchup here on the linebacker at an empty. as well. And Pittsburgh can run this out of different looks. This is, I think, out of, I want to say 11 personnel, but you can run this out of 12 and keep the defense heavy and, not nickel. Force their linebackers to cover. You can limit coverages that way too. More likely to play zone than trying to play straight up man coverage. You can look down here, check the running back. Are they getting a linebacker? Are they getting a DB? Those can be some man zone indicators as well. So a lot of options here. Should have been a more successful play, but the concept is sound. 3rd and 2 for the offense and a good man zone beater. Not sure what you're going to get here. You're going to get man, going to get zone. Let's find ways to attack and beat both. You're going to get this mesh concept to beat man coverage. We're going to watch Pat Frymuth. He sets the mesh. He's the Y that's going to run this drag route over the top. Pickens will come underneath, but they're playing zone coverage, so mesh is not going to work well and create those picks and rubs and traffic against zone. So what do you run behind it? This sit route, sit down against zone coverage, single eye safety, sit down underneath. Wilson finds him. It's a conversion. Move the sticks. So simple stuff. Have a man beater, have a zone beater. All good passing concepts should have both because you're never quite sure what you're going to get, even though you might scout like crazy and have a good feel of tendencies. Defenses know their own tendencies as well, and they want to have tendency breakers to be able to play that chess game forward. So mesh, had they gotten man coverage, you're going to probably hit somebody on the mesh here, depending on how things get passed off. But zone coverage, defense is held underneath. Jefferson settling underneath. Show the quarterback your numbers. Wilson hits him, first down. Another RPO that Arthur Smith used a lot here in the preseason, you should see during different points in the regular season, their dart RPO. Run pass option, get the backside tackle. This is the dart concept, the backside tackle, in this case, Broderick Jones pulling with a design, pass concept as well. That's going to be Connor Hayward, again, in the flats, number 3 receivers here blocking by design. So you throw to the flat. If you don't like the box count, don't like the look, whatever the matchup is, the quarterback decides. And you have the tackle wrapping and pulling around. We'll take a look at that here as well. So again, backside tackle pulls. Number 3 to the flat. Fields has the option. Can even run it himself if he wants to. That's probably a possibility here as well. Take a look from the end zone angle. Jones wrapping around, power, gap concept. Arthur Smith is more known for zone blocking schemes than man blocking schemes. The concept is not executed well. I'm not worried about that here in the preseason. But just focusing on the actual concept and the play call, you can see the effectiveness or potential to be effective. Final clip from the Bills game. Let's talk true run calls. We've shown some of the RPOs. Now let's talk actual dedicated run calls. Not brand new to Pittsburgh, but crunch, which they run last year. You're going to get these wham blocks, these down blocks. Their tight end ear holding the 3-tech here, and hopefully a quick hitter that doesn't hit exactly as quickly as you would like to on this example. There was a good run by Najee Harris, a better one I probably should have shown, but just looking at the concept here, you're going to get the down block here from McCollum, the center. You're going to get the wham down block here from Pruitt, the D tackle, using leverage here, even though he's at a size disadvantage. Shanklin, the running back, running off his hip. You're going to get an angle here, kind of a kick out from Anderson. Frazier to the second level. Fitzpatrick coming down to crack the safety. Supposed to kind of fit this through right here. Nice job by Shanklin to get skinny. A decent run overall. What I really like as well, because you kind of got to hide this. Anytime the tight end is wide off the line of scrimmage, that is always called out by the defense, and it might be indicative of play action. It might be indicative of split zone, or teams that like to run crunch in these wham blocks. You see that as well. Pittsburgh ran crunch 3 times against Houston last year. It was the same pre-snap formation alignment each time. The 3rd time they ran it, Houston figured it out, and they blew the play up. So what does Arthur Smith adjust to on this? Initially, you have Pruitt on the line, and then they're going to be able to motion and kind of shift and adjust where Pruitt now comes off the line, Fitzpatrick's on the line, you're still legally, formationally, and the defense has little time to react. They're forced to communicate late, okay, the tight end just came off, he's wide off, we have to adjust to that late. A different way to present that picture, just in the way that any kind of true motion would be a different picture and presentation to the defense they have to communicate and talk through at the last second. Same thing with Pruitt right here. As soon as he comes off, Fitzpatrick gets a line, they check, they're good, they hike the ball so the defense has no time to really adjust and think about what's going to come here, and you run crunch for a decent gain. So little things like that I really was impressed by. All right, let's talk Lions game, and I could show other examples and compare and contrast, but for brevity's sake, for my standards, I'm just going to show this one and kind of talk through the differences. Simple play action, boot to the flat, get a decent gain here, get yourself going here. I believe this was a first down play. Typically, what teams have done, what Pittsburgh did last year, and they'll occasionally do as well under Arthur Smith, is they'll have, either a Y off here or the fullback, whoever, they're going to just go to the flat here immediately, and Fields boots out. There really is no blocking. Hopefully the defense crashes down when you sell play action and the run fake and you hit the flat. But the concern is if the defense figures it out and that guy's crashing off the edge and takes the quarterback, that quarterback is in trouble. So how do you adjust to that? In this case, Pittsburgh out of 21 personnel is going to keep the fullback in. Instead of Coletto running to the flat and being that first read on that low-high read, he stays in to block to protect the quarterback if the pass rusher at the end here doesn't take the run fake. And Van Jefferson on the outside, number one to the outside, is going to run the flat instead and be that quasi first read underneath. And then you're working low to high. So if he's not there, if this corner comes down, you're working secondary options to Freiermuth or to Miller. They hit Des Fitzpatrick on this concept, I think, against Buffalo or Detroit, one of the two. But I like the wrinkle here is keeping Coletto in as a blocker. There is the concern when Coletto's not selling the run fake, the defense is able to probably key that better. But I just like the idea of mixing up the call here. That protects Fields a bit, allows him to get this pass off to Jefferson. It's a decent game. Pittsburgh active with the design quarterback run game against Detroit. We're going to get split zone read on this play. So you get traditional read option where you'd have the mesh point between the running back and the quarterback. Read the play side end man, in this case the linebacker here. That's traditional zone read. They ran that for a touchdown later this drive. In this case, though, Connor Hayward will pull across and take this man as well, to not just have him unblocked and be read, but to actually be blocked and picked up. Nice cut block by Connor Hayward. Still can hand this off depending on the look and how the defense reacts. You still have the read component. If you're Justin Fields, you could hand it off to Michael Pirine or keep it yourself. This was on third and 3, and Pittsburgh got 4 and the first down. So different wrinkles to it. We saw later in this game, we saw some quarterback power and quarterback sweep on the goal line. We saw traditional read option for a touchdown. So these are the types of things Justin Fields can and likely will do to some degree as a package quarterback once the regular season begins. Pittsburgh did some more game planning in the finale versus Detroit, and we're going to go back to the divide routes. Pittsburgh at an empty as Pirine comes in, but watch the bottom here, this divide concept. We're going to get number 2, Austin, on the post here, and Watkins to the bottom, number 1, staying outside against single high, make the safety choose. We're going to divide this. He's going to obviously take the post here. The free safety does, but we're creating one-on-one matchups here. We're utilizing space vertically and horizontally. Vertically with these two, obviously, downfield routes, but then horizontally by having Austin run to the post and Watkins keeping this one outside the numbers. Ball doesn't go there, goes to Scotty Miller instead. But you're seeing a lot of divide routes. Simple stuff, not pretending that Arthur Smith is breaking new ground by doing this. No, he's certainly not, but after what Pittsburgh has experienced the last couple seasons under Matt Canada, this all feels refreshing. One other thing to note as well, I want to get the end zone angle here. This has become a more common tactic, especially against Pittsburgh and any teams that have top-end pass rushers. Pittsburgh will do this against Cleveland, for example. Again, not brand new, but want to note it here as well. Going at empty, but having these kind of wings as chippers. You have Michael Pruitt, and then you bring Pirine in. They're going to chip the ends, and that's going to help give the quarterback time. When you're working out of empty, especially on these more vertical downfield throws, need some time to set things up. And so I remember the Bills have always had good success with these kind of dual wing chippers here to slow down TJ Watt. And these are just check releases, and you're going to just disrupt. You're going to widen these guys and then just kind of chip and give your tackles some help. So it's kind of a way to help your tackles out here out of empty, put a little less stress and strain on them. Little things like that. How do you defend, two great defensive ends or pass rushers? And you see teams that, against these mug looks that teams will do where they'll put the linebackers up in the A-gaps. How do you defend that? Teams will use sniffers and they'll have a running back kind of stand basically like right here, pre-snap to take that on. So just how do you defend some of the, top individual talents? How do you defend some of the blitz looks? Different ways to do it. You see one way to defend with these dual chippers on this play. last one I want to look at, we talk about RPOs. I think everyone understands that. Run pass options. What about RPRs? Run pass run options, a third component to it. So Pittsburgh, late in the game, the rookie John Rice Plumlee in. We're going to get inside zone with the read, the backside defender here being read. You can give it to the back or keep it yourself. Plumlee keeps it himself. But let's go up top here and check. There's a pass component as well. We're going to get this bubble to number 2 right here, Jacob Copeland. So we can give the ball to the running back on inside zone. We can keep it ourselves, depending on what the end man does. If he crashes down, we're going to keep, and I can run it if you're John Rice Plumlee. But at the end, defends it well. And so there's a third component with the bubble to number 2 in Copeland. Now this one gets a little messy, probably thrown a little bit late. Copeland tries to reach out with one hand, maybe not exactly on target, but catchable. So again, we're putting execution aside. None of these guys are playing in Atlanta week 1, but the run, pass, run option. Give to the running back, quarterback keep, or bubble to number 2. They're going to run this probably a couple times. They ran this several times in the preseason, including with Justin Fields. So some of the packet stuff that he could do, I think even Russ could do it in a pinch or two in a 3rd and 1 kind of late game surprise situation. I wouldn't discount that either. So just like that additional wrinkle to the traditional RPO game. There was one other play that I almost forgot about I want to go back to. So Houston, week 1 in the preseason. I think I mentioned this one in my other Arthur Smith video, but I left out one component of it. So ball here at the 8-9 yard line, running mesh, mentioned that. Good way to beat man coverage. The other component, though, as well, the running back. Watch the running back 35, Jonathan Ward. He's going to run this wheel route or this rail concept. Mesh rail has become a pretty popular concept here in the NFL. So just another kind of vertical component to this horizontal initial read here on mesh. And so we're going to see these tight splits, which are very much a hallmark of the Arthur Smith system. Going to hit Scotty Miller underneath. The wheel was not open, but mesh rail, something we'll see in Pittsburgh. It's become pretty popular around the NFL. So that is my take on Arthur Smith and his schemes in the preseason. So far, I like what I've seen. Obviously, all that really matters is production and being able to put points on the board come week 1, September 8th and onward. If that doesn't happen, all of this is for naught, and I'm getting roasted in the comments about it, but I'm just giving you where I'm at right now. I like the concepts, the schemes. Players, of course, have to execute. Guys have to stay healthy. The line speed up. All that being said, I just like what I've seen and wanted to kind of share my favorite concepts I saw from Arthur Smith in his first 3 games as Pittsburgh Steelers OC. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe. And of course, check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.